Don't know where it goes. I'm on a road. Follow your heart. It won't let you down. Follow your heart. Take the steps beyond your way. Take the steps. When you have a dream, you gotta start. It's the only way. If you're gonna shine, and you're gonna shine, shine, shine. You're gonna shine. Oh, hello, and everyone. Welcome to The Ranch, where we are on a quest and spanning the globe for the best in indie Americana music. And tonight's show is going to be special. I had to go across the pond to meet someone here, not across the pond. So before I get to him, I want you to know that we are brought to you by Blast Music 24/7. This is a great spot for all indie artists, because this show is about all things indie artists. I'm trying to give you as much support as I possibly can, because it's all about you. And Blast Music 24/7 is a great place, and you should be there. You can showcase your music, your talents. It's a great platform to send people to, and it looks really professional, and you can get your stuff out there. And again, there's a lot of resources for you, a lot of podcasts, a lot of radios, so it's a lot of things entwined in one. And also sponsoring me is To The Max, which does a lot of promotional materials, logos, things like that. They made my sign for me. Hotel Universe, all things video. And because of them, you can find the show on Roku TV. So I'm an official TV show, which is really cool. And my friends in France, Indie Radio Music. My friends in France listening usually on Thursdays. Always so happy to have you guys listening. So thanks for checking us out. So again, I was doing a show with Sparky, Lord is in UK top 10. And I always meet such really great people, but it's interesting. I'm on a UK show and people are all over the world. And I met our next guest, Terry Dan. So let's bring Terry onto the stage. Guys, everyone watching, I know there's some people already checking in. This is an interactive show. So YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching, if we're going live, which is Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're live, we're going to see your comments and we can interact. So those people watching, let us know where you're watching from. I want to talk to you. I want to say hello. So let us know where you're watching from. Terry.
Hey,
hello.
Randy. Hi. Thank you for having me on the show, and good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Back home, yes.
Now, we met on a UK show.
Yes.
Right? But you're not in the UK, neither am I. Where are you hailing from?
I am now in Florida, where my wife and I retired after 27 years working for the man, and we're back in the music business and enjoying the sunshine, and it's a great place. If you can dodge the hurricanes, it's a great place to be.
Yeah, but you weren't always in the sunshine.
No, I was born in Denton, Texas, but it could get pretty hot there too. And I relocated to New Jersey for a while and worked in the music business and clubs all over New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut and Pennsylvania. And then I moved to Tennessee, and then I moved to Florida. So I've been quite a bit around the eastern part of the U.S. And all my family's still in Texas and Oklahoma, though.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, my family's kind of clustered in Pennsylvania. I kept telling them, like, spread out. So we have places to visit.
Yeah. Well, it becomes around the holidays, like right now, it becomes kind of an issue, because if you go visit one of them, because we're all spread out, you don't see the other ones. So we go pick somebody for Thanksgiving, and then maybe we don't take another trip for Christmas because they're also going somewhere else. And it's not like my Christmas of my childhood, where we all lived around the same town, and we all showed up at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Right. And we had a house full of there might have been 30 people or more. And the logistics of that were very taxing because everybody had to be fed. They had to get dessert. They all had to have Christmas presents. And the kids, I was one of them, all had to be tended to. So it was quite a really nice time. And we did that for many, many years. And it was just a staple. Everybody did Christmas over
Right.
grandma's
You
house.
knew what you were doing for the holidays. It wasn't a question.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
we
was going to happen.
we wound up in the living room at the end of the night, and everybody could either sing or play my grandma had a Hammond B3 organ in her living room. So they played that and a piano, and there was guitar or six in the room at the time. So we all wind up singing, having Christmas presents, and then we'd all go home. And that would happen all day long. And then we would all grow up and get married off. And then we'd have to share Christmas. My cousins would no longer be at grandma's house. They'd be at their wife's family's house. And we started spreading out that way. And pretty soon grandma's house went away. And so that's one of the things coming up on Christmas time. I always think about that. That's one of the things I really miss about Christmas is grandma's house.
Yeah, I miss my Nana terribly around this time because she was one of the people in my family I would bake with. And I love to bake. I love it. I don't even want to eat all of it. I just give it away. Like, I just love to bake and decorate and, do all that stuff, and I with my Nana, we'd, make a mess. Well, my sister would yell at me for making a mess, but we would really have a good old time. And, I missed that. I missed that a lot. And we don't have a central person we're coming around to,
Yes. And so we deal with that too. And we've spent Christmas in Texas or Christmas in New Jersey, or they'll come here. So, but when you're at one person, you get on the phone or, you do a Skype call or something like that. So that the technology has helped bridge that the position gap.
Right. But it is interesting. We've come to the time where it's, what are you doing for the holidays? I don't know, or, like, where are you going? It's not as secure as it used to be, but you figure it out and you make it happen and you keep that holiday.
Yep. And so I think this year, my wife and I are going to be home in Florida for Christmas. We'll be by ourselves. We quite often are, but it's a phone day. So we call everybody and find out how they were, and we'll Skype or do a FaceTime or something like that. So by the time the end of the day comes around, we've talked to everybody. We know what they've all done. We know what they all got, and we all know what they didn't get. And so it just kind of makes it a nice time. Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's going to be wonderful.
One of the songs that we're going to play today is Appalachian Sunrise, which deals with being home. And I can tell you that I love playing out. I don't do it a lot now. I did. It's how I made my living. And I loved going out and seeing everybody do what they do in a bar or a nightclub, or just help be part of their noise and be part of their good time. And then getting home, I would drive 2 hours every night just to get back home again. I'd stay in a hotel when I had to. Be just too far to drive.
The band, we have a 2-hour bubble. That's a drive home. Anything outside of our 2-hour bubble, we gotta find an Airbnb or crash somewhere.
Yes. Then it becomes a safety issue because I've found myself waking up behind the wheel. That's no place to be.
Yeah, so, that's a little scary.
Yeah, do it where you can.
So you're a country artist. We're gonna get into your first song in a little bit. And country has changed a lot.
Yes.
It's interesting. I was thinking about this morning. So many artists are now calling themselves country artists. And the music hasn't changed that much, but what they're calling country has.
Mm-hmm. Well, all music changes. It's not just country music. It's blues and R&B and rock and pop. What they're calling pop depends on what era you're in. It's not even a year. It's like a decade. The 60s pop was different, and now later on we called it rock and roll. Well, country, I think, did the same thing. And I'm not extremely fond of some of the real new stuff, but I know that somebody like Chet Atkins took the sound that Willie Nelson and Roy Acuff were doing back way back when, and Chet Atkins refined that and made it real sweet, and made it very, very balanced, and he was always there to make sure that that sound was exactly pure, and it came to be, years later, it came to be known as the Nashville sound. Chet Atkins did that. And he would sit he was very musically inclined. He knew everything about music. I heard a story about him sitting in a session once. He just walked in to see how his producers were doing. He was running RCA Records at the time, and he stopped the session. He wasn't even a producer on it. He just stopped the session, and he just talked to the guitar players. That, I think that should have been an A flat. He knew that, and that's how good he was. And so he made this sound based on, everybody respected what he was doing and followed, and they came up with the Nashville sound. And everybody from that point on, Kenny Rogers, Eddie Rabbitt, whoever recorded anything, Reba McEntire, they all had that Nashville sound. And that's the sound that I really like. I liked the raw stuff before that because I was a huge Willie Nelson fan. In fact, Willie Nelson was my first concert ticket purchase.
Really?
I wasn't even old enough to drive a car. I had to ride my bicycle to the Sears store and buy the ticket, and then ride my bicycle to where the concert was.
You rode your bicycle to a concert? How far away was it?
Oh, it was just maybe 2-3 miles. It wasn't too far.
You know what? Back in our day, we have 5 to get to the pool at your friend's house or whatever. Nowadays, I don't even think they can go down the block without anyone. I feel bad for the kids, man. Like, we used to bike everywhere.
Oh yeah. And you could tell where all the neighborhood kids were too. If you just drive through a neighborhood, it was the house where all the bikes were piled up in the front yard.
Yeah,
that's where everybody met. And those kids could be from 3 miles away. They were just over, Billy's going to be playing baseball this afternoon. Let's go ride. And they'd all ride 3 to 5 miles.
Yeah, there's a kickball game. It's a kickball game, and everyone goes to like cement playground or whatever, and we're all showed up,
Yeah. And wherever you were,
someone carried the ball on their bike, like
yes, one-handed.
Yeah.
And just wherever you were, you needed to be home by dark because, you were going to have dinner. And if you weren't home for dinner, they put the plates away. And if you weren't there, too bad. So, but we could hear our mom screaming, Terry, from 3 miles away, I think. No, that's not true. But you could hear them. They'd come out, and you had to, whatever you were doing, you had to drop it and go home.
Yeah, that's what you did for days. And if one mother's screaming, yours is screaming, you just go.
Yeah, they all had different screams. Yeah, you know whose mother it was.
So yeah, you're right. Music has changed, and I do. Yes. I tend to like the more polished sound, the raw kind of. It's almost like a live recording, which is still called Nashville recording. Like you can tell, I like a little more polished, approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, me too. I think if you go a little bit more toward the country blues, Chris Stapleton's probably a real good example of that. Chris does not follow the Nashville sound.
How many awards has this guy won?
I don't know. You clean house for a little while, and then you have to move over and let the other guys come through.
I know.
He's doing really well. Yeah, he's doing good, and I like him. But I also like some of that Nashville sound that Reba McEntire and Doug Stone, and everybody that was playing during those times had. That's a nice, sweet sound. It's very hard to get, and there's a lot of people that are still engineering that sound, so it's still valid. But they're fattening up the bass, and they're putting a bunch of reverb back into it, and there's a lot of pop that's going into the country sound right now. And I like pop. I'm a huge Bee Gees fan, and I really like that. But when I get ready to listen to country music, I still tend to go back to the Nashville sound. I can't record myself that way because these guys that know how to do that, they have the $5 million studios, and I have a $5 studio. And so I do what I can. It's got some cool stuff in it, but I don't have that acumen to do the sound that they do because of all of the preamps and the things that they do, and they do a monstrous job at it. I
Yeah,
think I do okay with what I've got, but I like that sound.
right.
I'm not going to be I'm trying not to be snooty with some of the rappers pairing up with country singers. We'll see where that goes and how long it happens.
Some of the pairings, you know, there was like a happy medium, and I think it worked really well. And there are some that I'm having a hard time getting behind. But right now, they're not putting money into new artists. They're pairing up. They're doing all these combos. These collaborations is the buzzword in the business right now. You want to collab, you want to collab, you want to collab.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love collaborating with people. I want to do more of that. So, but you don't see a whole lot. That's why Chris Stapleton keeps winning. There isn't a whole lot, coming up. Most people have been around for a long time, and they're either just reproducing them or collaborating them or, something.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll see who comes up with a good combination. So far, I'm not, I know this is going to sound snooty anyway, but I'll just go ahead and say it. So far, I'm not impressed.
There's one collaboration. It's not even a rapper. It's Papa Roach and Carrie Underwood. Has done it, but he's not really, a rapper, but per se. But
yeah, but that Carrie Underwood's that country, kind of a border new country,
modern country.
Yeah, country. But she's still country enough to to pull it off. And I like Carrie Underwood. I like her a lot. And I think, I don't know if Chris Lord-Alge's still mixing her stuff, but he's just a monster engineer, and he does a really good job on Carrie's older stuff. I guess he's still doing it for her. But that combination works very, very well, and they know what to expect, and they sometimes don't even have to talk to each other. They just know what to do, and that's what makes it really good. They keep doing it until they perfect it.
That's right. Well, talk about perfecting. Talk to me about how Appalachian Sunrise came about.
I realized one day that I'd gotten home after a drive from one of those 2-hour drives, and I had been holding the steering wheel, and my back was all straight, and a 2-hour driving a van down the highway and through the curves of northern New Jersey. And I was working all over New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. Occasionally I would fly out someplace else. When I drove, that's where I would work, in bars and in ski resorts and restaurants and just anything I could get a gig. And I realized when I was getting home, as soon as I would pull in the driveway and turn the engine off, I could feel my body just decompressing. And I got to realizing the birds chirping, and you could hear a truck whining on the highway off in the distance. And it was, except for the ticking of the engine, it was just quiet. And I wouldn't even go in the house for a while. I'd just sit there, just breathe. And it was really good. And I realized how much I liked being home. It was just as much as I liked being out on the road. So a little bit of a balance of both of those worlds. And so Appalachian Sunrise was to give homage to what I would drive up to my house sometimes at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, when sometimes the sun would be coming up, and that was the end of my day. So that's what that was about.
All right. Why don't we give a listen to Appalachian Sunrise?
Off the 2-lane, past the cornfields, in the mountains way up north, I make my home. I got some family and some good friends, so I very seldom ever am alone. But now I'm driving down this highway, I'm on the last leg of these one-night stands. I've been thinking about a woman, and I just can't wait to get her in my hands. I can't wait to get back home when this is over. I love the road, but I love home the best. There's just something about an Appalachian sunrise. With my lady, I forget about the rest. In the very early morning, you can almost hear the sun climbing the sky. In the distance, a lonely semi makes a sound across the valley like a cry. Well, that driver must be thinking, with every mile he's closer to his pay. Then back home to his lady, you know, I think I hear that driver say, I can't wait to get back home when this is over. I love the road, but I love home the best. There's just something about an Appalachian sunrise. With my lady, I forget about the rest. To get back home when this is over. I love the road, but I love home the best. Well, there's just something about an Appalachian sunrise. With my lady, I forget about the rest.
And we are back on the ranch. The ranch is brought to you by Blast Music 24/7, one-stop shopping for all indie artists. If you haven't checked them out, you really should. So
you can probably recognize a little bit of my studio where I recorded that video. I did that right here.
Oh, you did it right here. I see the lighting.
Yeah, the gray paneling and everything is right. There's a lot goes on in this room.
Oh, it's nice that you have that. You have actual acoustic tiles. Where I used to do the old eggshells, the egg cartons.
Right. Yeah, I did. I read up on it and I learned why the material works like it does. And so I built a lot of these panels. The ones behind me, they're 2 feet by 4 feet, and they've got 4 inches of rock wool in them. And I built a lot of those for this room. And then before I was done with it, I fell off a ladder and dislocated my shoulder. So I couldn't finish the panels. I bought the rest of them for the room. And so, but I built almost everything in here.
So that's your creative space.
Yes. I spend a lot of time in here, running down radio stations or running down music, or what I'm doing right now. I can't really talk about it a whole lot, but there's a movie deal that I'm working on now. I'm writing the music for it. So we'll see what happens later on. But right now it's a real project for me. So I'm writing these 2.5 minute vamps of, something that you might hear in a movie of somebody walking down the road or somebody trying to hail a taxi or, anything. It's just most of the time, if there's not dialogue in a movie, there's music behind it, because there has to be some noise. There's not very long empty spaces in a movie. It's kind of like radio. And my music is behind that in this one movie that's already been made, and then another one that's coming up, and I'm actually recording some of the music for that. So that's kind of cool. And I just sit down and think of melodies and then record them. And it's just pretty cool.
Do you need lyrics with that? Like some use lyrics and some don't.
Yeah, you could write a song like that. Most of the songs I think that I've heard are that have lyrics came from something that the song existed already.
Right.
Sometimes the music could be written specifically for that story, and of course, both of those things happen. But most of the time, the music behind a movie that's original for the movie is just these 20-second to 2-minute snippets that are written.
Yeah. Right, cues and other things. And that's great. I always thought I wanted to be a music supervisor, for movies and either writing or just finding music for
yeah, that would be the coolest job.
I know, right? That's the coveted, you go to conventions and you can tell the music supervisor, they have this huge horde following them,
Yeah, they have the biggest parties.
Yeah, they really do. They really do, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So good for you. I've had my stuff forwarded, and stuff and reviewed for it, but so far it's been elusive.
I think for me, I had considered doing it, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to go about it. And then just one day I got an email saying, "Hey, Terry Dan, I heard some of your stuff and I want to talk to you about the movie that I'm doing." So I didn't even go after anybody yet. I was just thinking about doing it and somebody called. That's how that worked, just right out of the blue. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I hope something really does happen because I think it's a cool idea, and I'm putting what I have into it.
Yeah, people don't understand how big the music industry really is. I mean, you see live bands, and that's the tip of the iceberg. You see people on the charts, that's the tip of the iceberg. Yep. A lot of your charting artists, the billboards and all of that, aren't even writing their own songs anymore. You have people behind the scenes writing the hits. You have all the people writing for music, TV. You never see them. It's kind of thankless, but you can make a good living at it.
Yeah, that's right. You can have your wealth and no fame. And that's how some people like it. They like the anonymity.
Yeah.
I think I would like that. I'm a homebody. I enjoy the accolades on a performance stage. Everybody does, but I also really like my quiet space, and I wouldn't mind being able to write things like that for a while because I haven't been played out. I haven't played out in a long, long time.
Wow.
So I've kind of made myself a bit of a hermit, I think.
Do you know the pop artist Sia? S-I-A?
No.
She was a huge pop writer, and finally they talked her into recording her own songs. Chandelier is a big one of hers. But she has so much stage fright and anxiety that she actually wears her hair covering her face for all performances. Like, you wouldn't know her if she walked up to you because you can never see her face on stage. She has so much anxiety, but she's one of these people that was perfectly happy. And she wrote gazillions of hits that nobody knew about, and they talked her into performing, and she became this nervous wreck. This poor thing had so much anxiety, that she just was all covered up, and she refuses to show her face,
I know there are a lot of famous people that are that way. They still have, and they have no reason to be afraid. They don't know how good they don't know how many people came there just to see them.
They bought tickets to see you.
Yeah. And I can tell you a story about that, but years and years and years ago, when I was first starting out, I had a record company that I was part of with Doc Severinsen, who was the Tonight Show band leader, the horn player. So he and his manager, Bud Robinson, had gotten me a TV show out in California. So I flew out there. Doc was going to introduce me, and I was going to come out and play my song. And so while the MC of the show was getting everything going, I was hanging onto the curtain, ready to throw it apart and run out there. And Doc was meditating. He had his eyes closed, his head back, and he looked over me. He says, "You not nervous?" I said, "No." He says, "I don't know how you do that." This guy had no reason to be nervous, but other people I've heard, they're that way. So it's maybe part of their personality. Could be charming.
Yeah. Well, and anxiety and creativity just do not go together. Like COVID was a big test of that. People were so anxious during COVID. They couldn't write. I mean, people really were stagnant. There were a few that were able to push through it, but for a lot of reasons, but Belinda Carlisle had such severe stage fright. There's quite a few of them.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah. So your next song up, it's That's Us. Tell me about that.
This is a cool story. My wife, who's very funny, she has kind of a dry sense of humor, but she's the one that started That's Us. She made this joke about looking at some of our younger pictures when we were first hanging out, and we looked like kids. I have longer hair. She's got a different hairdo. We're both young and pretty and beautiful. And she looks at this. She says, "I wonder who those kids are. They look familiar. I hope they're okay. And why are they wearing our clothes?" And every time we'd see the picture hanging up on our own wall in the house, we'd go somewhere else or look through a photo album, and she would always say, "I wonder how those kids are doing. They sure look cute, and I hope they're okay." So we decided we needed to write this song. It would be a neat song now that we're older, and I think there's a lot of people that could relate to this, sitting down, looking at younger pictures of themselves, looking at those good-looking kids and making the joke about, "I hope they're okay."
I hope they're okay. And it's a great premise for a song, because as you get older, you do more and more of that.
Yes.
Looking at those pictures and, where did that time go?
Boy, we sure were cute.
We were cute. I wanted to say Mindy Wells is chiming in. Bob Dylan is probably the biggest one out there with the worst stage fright. When I saw him over the summer, he did not move from behind his keyboard. He sat there. He didn't want any cameras moving. They had to do long shots of him.
Gosh.
Still to this day, Bob Dylan, so point taken on that one.
Yes.
So that's us, looking back at those pictures, and the wonderful memories, but you almost don't associate the two anymore,
Right. And we actually do have a box of pictures. We look through them once in a while. So it's not, we didn't just make that up. That's us sitting there on the couch, flipping through those old pictures before we had digital cameras. We still got the paper pictures of us in the moving van or at an air show or something like that. And that's where the song came from.
And I give your wife credit, giving you permission to use all those old photos.
Yeah, she thought that was pretty cool that we found. What was strange that we discovered that we don't have as many pictures of us as we thought we may have. And when you go, so you don't think about taking pictures. The age of the selfie didn't really come in until the cell phone. And there was a funny joke about Neil Armstrong goes to the moon. He took 12 photographs. Sally comes out of the ladies' room. She just took 27 selfies. So we don't have a lot of pictures of us. And we realized while we're writing this song and looking for pictures to go in the video, we don't have 100 pictures to choose from. We've got 30 pictures that we can put in this video. And so it was a little difficult.
I did a song called Holiday to Remember. I did it about 5 years ago. And I took baby pictures. I'm the third born here, folks. I'm taking issue with that premise because, there's my older sister. There's my older sister there. And the ones I did find of us, those two were always had the cutest little outfits on. The same outfit ever. Scarred for life, and it's my mom's fault that I was like an novel. Seriously, every single photo.
And you don't get a chance to go back and change that.
Yeah, but Mom, There gotta be a third outfit. Like, put me in the same color at least. Like, seriously,
That's funny.
unbelievable. But you
Well,
know
now
what?
with AI, you might be able to do some of that stuff and fill in the
Like,
gaps.
I got a Photoshop. Like, somebody out there good at that stuff. Like, seriously.
I'm not. I know that.
Yeah, not my forte. So let's take a listen to That's Us.
That's us.
We found a box of pictures from a long time ago. Sat down for a good look, taking it real slow. And picture after picture, the same good-looking pair. They sure look familiar, but what's with all that hair? Who are those kids? Does anyone know? They sure look good wearing our clothes. Two familiar strangers, so in love. Take a little closer look, that's us. Here they are again at the Jersey Shore. I get a funny feeling we've met before. There's a good shot taken at the Baptist church, where we swore to each other, for better or for worse. Who are those kids? Does anyone know? They sure look good wearing our clothes. Two familiar strangers, so in love. Take a little closer look, that's us. Been a long journey from those younger days. We're quite a bit older and a lot has changed, but you still look at me like you did back then. If I had the chance, I'd do it all again. Who are those kids? Does anyone know? They sure look good wearing our clothes. Two familiar strangers, so in love. It's a little bit hard to believe that these photographs are you and me. Take a little closer look, that's us.
All right, and we are back on the ranch, and we are brought to you by Blast Music 24/7, and we go through Europe on my indie music radio in France. And we're always
Nice.
welcome. Always glad to have our listeners from France there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're here with Terry Dan, and That's Us. And I think all of us can relate to that song.
I think so too, and I didn't really think about all of the people that are exactly in our same situation. You know, they've grown old together, and that's really what you hope you get to do. And many of us have made that, and we still have more to do. But then I was really proud of this song, and I was showing it to somebody, and they look, that's us. Look what we did, look what we discovered. And he looked at me and he says, I think everybody else feels the same way. and it kind of took me back a little bit. And one way was kind of telling me that it wasn't really all about me, that there's everybody else can feel the same way, but that was a good thing at the same time. That something that everybody can relate to. So
That's an interesting point. I had this discussion with Eric Summers, and I'm touring around South, and he let me have his couch, and of course it's Eric Summers, so I'm picking his brain, and we had a discussion about, your fan base are people your age, and I was talking to him about a song I was getting produced and wanting to bring more modern elements to it. And he's like, pay attention to your audience. And it's kind of the discussion we had, early on, modern, I tend to lean towards modern country, but how far are my audience willing to go with me? Like, what are we infusing? I'm growing with these people. They've been with me for a while now, and you run that fine line.
I think maybe they need something different. I mean, you can listen to the things that you love, whether it's Willie Nelson or Eddie Rabbitt or Charlie Daniels, and then you still love them. You don't dislike them. You don't like them any less. You still love them, but you also want something new. So maybe you go listen to a little Bruno Mars or something else. And then you always come back, oh, I love country music, I don't like anything else. But you pay attention, because you're going to go listen to Bruno once in a while, and we know you're going to. And so I think we need more. And so when you take that to how music evolves, and how country music and really every genre of music except maybe jazz and classical, they morph into something else. And I don't know that you can call that a growth, but you can call it a progression, and it sort of morphs into something else that now what used to be the driving force behind record sales was 14 and 15-year-old females. Is that the same thing now? Is that who's streaming all of our songs and buying concert tickets, or making their parents buy concert tickets? I know you look at a Taylor Swift concert, and there's a lot of adults in there because their 14-year-old kid can't drive yet.
Right. And do you trust them going to a concert all by themselves? So one designated parent is with like 10 kids,
right. And she's a perfect example, because she was one of my favorite country singers when she first started doing some of those songs that she was doing on Big Machine Records, and then later she went pop. I was emotionally changed because of that.
but what she does, like no other artist, is she was able to make that shift and take her fan base with her. She has that down to a science.
She talks on their level.
A lot of other artists might have lost their fan base. She actually changes genre. She went from a country singer to this pop.
Yeah.
And she just kept growing.
I said the wrong word. I said she talks to them on their level. It's not about level. It's not talking up or talking down. She was on their wavelength. And I'll tell you a story about what crossed my mind. Well, I went to NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association International. Any songwriter knows what that is. And they said, follow the rules. Write your song conversationally. Pay attention to the lilt of your voice, up, and all these rules. And here comes Taylor Swift a few years later, and I heard her sing a song. I thought that poor kid's never going to make it. She's not following the rules. And bam, one hit after bam, another hit. And then I remember slapping the side of my face and say, you go, girl. You're breaking all those rules from people that, probably only had one hit, and now you broke the rules and you're making all this stuff. So I have big respect for Taylor.
I do too.
A lot of the genre that she's doing, but there's nobody that I respect more in the music business than her, and she's really done a good job from very little. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and the women, have come a long way and as much as we still have a struggle, some of the people dominating right now are Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you still have Dolly Parton, that are, showing how it's done to be in the business.
Mhm. Well,
know?
I've been lucky enough to see a lot of great women in show business, from Loretta Lynn, and then her sister Crystal. I actually worked at Crystal Gale show once. Um, her her performance was impeccable. Tammy Wynette, poor Tammy, she had to have help on the stage. I opened a show for her once too, but she did a great job. And these were pioneers. These were ladies that made it possible for other ladies behind them to be accepted on a wide level. So I was lucky enough to be a part of that. From in my growing up scene, I saw that. But go back all the way to Patsy Cline. We always had women in show business. We just didn't have as many of them. Now there's a lot of them.
Right. And you know what? It was harder. I always say, I started back in the day when you didn't hear 2 female songs in a row, yet alone in an hour. There was still that fight, that we had. You had women expected in the industry, but we didn't get booked as often. We didn't get played as often.
That's true. And now I think there's more. There still might be more men in the business, but there's a lot of women, and they're doing very well. I'm happy to go to any of their concerts.
Yeah, we don't have as much. Oh, it's a girl concert. Like, guys are smart. You're going to go to a girl concert because there's going to be a lot of women there. So, like,
well, that's true.
Think about
your girlfriend wants to go.
Right. Or you're going to meet some girls or whatever, let's be realistic here.
Well, that's not my problem now. I learned a long time ago. I got out of the business for a little while, and I'll tell you, when I had a guitar, the girls were everywhere. And as soon as I put my guitar down, they were gone.
Oh, come on. How many guys learn guitar get the girls?
Oh, I think that's why we all learned the guitar.
Right.
And then later, you learn how to really do something creative with your music, and then it's a whole different thing then.
Right. Let's talk about Like It or Not.
Like It or Not was a song that I wrote after I worked for a Belgian mining company. It was a wonderful company. They shipped me around different parts of the world I would have never been able to see. I was able to fall in love with Europe. I met some wonderful people. It was a good company. But somebody came in that wanted to change their IT department, and I was approaching retirement age, and I was not going to be part of their 5-year plan because I wasn't going to be there in 5 years. So I suspect that what happened was this new guy that came in was just hired for the IT group director, was giving his vision to everybody and said, we need people that are going to be here through this whole transition. And I wasn't one of those people, so I got let go. They gave me a package. It was all amicable. It was still a little bit of shock. I'd been there for 27 years. And once I got over the shock, I started thinking in terms of writing a song about that. And that's where Like It or Not came up with. While I'm working for the man, I got to do this whether I like it or not. And there's a lot of things I didn't like. Some I did, but I did them anyway, whether I liked it or not. And now they're going to show me the door, whether I like it or not. And okay, then I'm just going to live on the beach, whether I like it or not. And so that's kind of where that came from. And it was a quick song to write too. It was fun. I knew the material. It was cathartic. It just happened. It did a good, kind of played itself, really.
Yeah, some songs do that, right? They just fall in your lap.
Yes. And I think this one is my sister somewhere in the background is doing some vocals on this, and my brother's playing the piano. Now, my sister Gayla, she lives in Denton, Texas, where I'm from. She still lives there. My brother lives in right outside of Marietta, Oklahoma, and we record him over the internet. So that's a wonderful thing that technology's been able to do. And he played almost every song on this album over the internet. And my sister Gayla came here, and I put her to work while she was visiting us. So she sang back up on this one and a couple of others. So kind of a family thing now here.
Yeah, and she comes for the sunshine, and you got her in the booth the whole time.
That's right. That's right. The sun will be there in 4 hours when we're done.
Right. All right, let's listen to Like It or Not.
sitting at the desk day after day, scratching for whatever I got. Gotta do this, gotta do that, whether I like it or not. At the end of the line, clocking my time, they threw me a wink and a watch. Showed me the door, I don't work anymore, whether I like it or not. I guess I'll go for a run on the beach in the sun, grab a cold beer and soak up some hot. Feeling alright for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not. Subtropical heat is humid and sweet. I love how it tingles my skin. If I watch anything, it won't be a clock. I'll never have to do that again. On my way out the door to lay on the shore, I'll grab something good off the shelf. I'm back once more for my afternoon chore. These books aren't gonna read themselves. Then I'll go for a run on the beach in the sun, grab a cold beer and soak up some hot. Feeling alright for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not. I'm gonna go for a run on the beach in the sun, grab a cold beer and soak up some hot. Have a good time for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not. I'm gonna go for a run on the beach in the sun, grab a cold beer and soak up some hot. Doing alright for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not. Hey, I'm gonna go for a run on the beach in the sun, grab a cold beer and soak up some hot. Doing just fine for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not.
All right. And we are back here on the ranch, brought to you by Blast Music 24/7 and going out all over Europe with indie music radio. And we're always glad for our listeners, our radio listeners. So thanks for tuning in tonight. We have Terry Dan, who's with us. And that's definitely got some like beach tropic undertones there.
Yeah, if you listen real close to you, there's even a steel drum in the background.
Yeah, I caught that.
That was good. That was good. Now, my brother David was he was playing piano. When you saw somebody playing the piano, David came to visit me also in Florida, and we'd already recorded the song.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I need you to act like you're playing that solo again. And can you do that? And he says, well, I think so. So I sat him down. I videoed him actually playing the solo. I think he got most of the notes the same, but it worked. It was close enough. Yeah.
Right. Oh, wait. We got some comments here. Jimmy Buffett. Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. There was some very serious Jimmy Buffett undertones on that one.
That's been getting some comments, and I can't tell you how good that makes me feel, because I'm a big Jimmy Buffett fan too. I wasn't trying for that, but in fact, when I first started laying the tracks down, before I put in some of the drums and some of the other stuff, it kind of sounded like that song, the Pina Colada song. And bump,
Yes.
bump, bump. And until I put some other stuff and just changed it all up. And then it started sounding like a Jimmy Buffett song. But I didn't really realize that until some of the people on the radio stations where it was playing around made those kinds of comments. And it just makes me feel great. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of, that nice, easygoing, vibe, even though you're like sitting in the sun, whether I like it or not, because I'm not working anymore, go ahead and have a good day in the sun. You know?
And there, one of the lines in there, my brother-in-law, who's no longer alive, when he was alive, we used to go to the beach together. and it was my brother-in-law, my wife's sister, and my wife and me, all in kind of in a line looking at the waves coming in. And we all had books in our hands, but none of us were reading the books. We were all just mesmerized by the sea. And Ron, my brother-in-law, is looking up, and he turns, looks over, and he says, "You know, these books aren't going to read themselves." And so that's where I got the line for the song. That I knew then that line needed to be in a song, and it took years before I wrote Like It or Not and was able to put that line in the song.
That's great. You just kind of keep these scraps of papers, you don't throw away, all over the place.
You write everything down, and it doesn't help to write everything down. You have to actually find it later. So you need to keep it in the kind of place where you can see it again.
Right. So Terry, what's up next? What are you working on? What's going on?
Well, I hit a little bit on the soundtrack, the sync tracks for the movie. So I'm going to keep doing that. Keep doing some radio promotion on the Like It or Not album. So there's 4 or 5 songs on there, including a couple of covers. Memphis is one of the covers that I'm going to do. I want to do the piano album for my brother. I want to do a Christmas album. I'm going to start that. So next year I'll have some Christmas songs that I know is big. There's a lot of radio stations looking for Christmas songs all the time. So if anybody has the capacity to do that, write us some new Christmas songs. I'm going to be doing that myself. And I've got a lot of songs that I think YouTube is becoming a pretty good presence for me. So I'm going to make lyric videos on all of the songs that I've recorded. Instead of just putting a picture up there, it'll be a picture, but at least it'll have the lyrics, and maybe do some more action videos. I don't have any performance date planned at this time. Nothing's written in stone, but I might consider doing some live streaming performances. So all those things are possibilities in the future. I won't be sitting around wondering what to do next. I'll be wondering which to do next.
Right. Sounds like you have quite a few projects going right now. So,
yes.
And we wish you well. And we can find you on YouTube.
Yes, I am on a lot of social medias and all of the streaming services. CD Baby is my aggregator, my distributor. So we're on 150 streaming services across the world. And I'm on, of course, YouTube, Instagram, all of them that I can get on. TikTok, even. I don't know what's going to happen with TikTok in the US, but I'm on there right now.
Right. Yeah, that one's looking a little iffy. And I resisted for a long time. And I just started recently using it. I think I started using it almost a week before they announced that they were trying to kick them out of the country. And I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Then you showed up, Randie. Good.
Yeah. just in time. Was that Groucho Marx? Groucho Marx said the line to "Hello, I must be going."
Yeah, hello, I must be going. There it is. And I understand, the dangers of TikTok, and it's just not what they're showing. It's the machine behind it is very scary. And I get all that. So I'll be interested to see what they do with it. So Terry, I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Time and being ready.
Yeah. I think I have more to say. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
You know what? When you get your new stuff together, definitely put in a form and we'll get you back on the show. Absolutely.
Okay, good. And I need to tell you, thank you so very much for what you do for indie artists and indie music. Without your platform, it would be a little bit harder to do what we do. So thank you so much for helping us out.
You know what? I have a blast doing it. So I meet the coolest people, like for real. So I enjoy it.
Very cool.
All right. I look forward to getting new stuff together and we'll get you back on the show.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Randie.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Blast Music 24/7. Thank you, Indie Music Radio, Hotel Universe, and To The Max Advertising. Thank you. We are here every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I am going to I have one show next week, and then I'll be on Christmas break. So stay tuned, and I'll see you around.
I'm on the road, don't know where it goes. I'm on a road, follow your heart, it won't let you down. take the step.